The stranger who knew everything about me. It started on a rainy evening in New York. Emma had just finished another long day at her law firm. As she stepped out of her office, she noticed a tall man standing by the entrance, staring at her with an intensity that made her shiver. "Emma Carter?" he asked, his voice deep and smooth. She hesitated. "Yes? Do I know you?" He smiled, but there was something unsettling about it. "Not yet, but I know you." Emma's heart pounded. Who was he? A stalker? A client? Before she could say anything, he pulled out an old faded photograph of her, taken when she was a child. "We need to talk," he said. "It's about your past and your future." Against her better judgment, curiosity got the best of her. They sat down at a nearby cafe, and he introduced himself as Daniel. What he told her next shattered everything she thought she knew. "I've been looking for you for 20 years, Emma gasped. "Why?" "Because we were meant to be together," Daniel said, his eyes filled with something between desperation and longing. "We met when we were kids. We fell in love. But something happened, and you don't remember." Emma's hand shook. "That's impossible. I would remember." "You don't, because you were made to forget." Emma's mind raced. Was this man insane, or was there some truth to his words? He pulled out another photograph, this time of a little boy and girl holding hands. The girl was undeniably her. "Your parents made a deal, Emma. They erased me from your life." Her world tilted. Memories she couldn't place started to surface. Fragments of a forgotten childhood, a boy with deep blue eyes, a promise whispered in the dark. "You're lying," she whispered, but deep down she wasn't sure anymore. Daniel leaned in. "I can prove it, but if you remember, there's no turning back. The truth will change everything." Emma had spent her entire life chasing logic, facts, and order. But now, staring into Daniel's eyes, she had to decide. Walk away and stay in the life she knew, or uncover a truth that could destroy it all. Would you risk everything for a love you don't remember? She closed her eyes, taking a shaky breath. "How do I remember?" Daniel hesitated before pulling a small, ornate key from his pocket. "Your parents hid everything in a place you once called home. This key unlocks it." Emma's heart pounded. She hadn't been back to her childhood home in years, not since her parents sold it. But now a rush of old emotions resurfaced, flashes of laughter, the warmth of an unseen presence, a promise made under the stars. "Where is it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Daniel smiled, relief flashing across his face. "Upstate, a cabin in the woods. You have to see it to believe it." Emma looked out the cafe window, watching the rain patter against the glass. She had a life, a career, a reality she built on certainty. But something inside her, something she couldn't explain, was pulling her toward the unknown, toward Daniel. "All right," she said finally, meeting his gaze. "Take me there." Daniel exhaled as if he had been holding his breath for years. "You won't regret this." As they walked out of the cafe together, Emma had no idea that she was about to step into a past she never knew existed, and a love that had waited decades to be remembered. The journey upstate was quiet. The sound of rain against the car windows filled the silence between them. Emma stole glances at Daniel, searching for familiarity in his face. "Tell me something about us," she finally said. "Something only we would know." Daniel smiled softly. "When we were 6, you made me promise we'd run away together one day. You said you wanted to live by the ocean, where no one could tell us what to do." Emma felt a lump rise in her throat. A dream long buried, a fantasy from a childhood she couldn't fully remember. "Did we?" she whispered. Daniel's face darkened. "They took you away before we could." The cabin was nestled deep in the woods, just as Daniel described. It looked abandoned, but as Emma stepped inside, she felt something stir within her. The walls, the floorboards, the scent of old wood. Something about this place called to her. Then she saw it. A small wooden chest sitting in the corner, covered in dust. The key in Daniel's hand trembled slightly as he passed it to her. Emma hesitated. Her entire life had led to this moment. Was she ready to remember? With a deep breath, she inserted the key and turned it. The lid creaked open, revealing a collection of letters, photographs and a locket with a picture of them as children. Tears filled her eyes as the memories rushed back. Late-night talks, whispered secrets, the love she had forgotten but never truly lost. Emma turned to Daniel, her voice trembling. "I remember." And in that moment, everything changed.